now. Starting with fresh news, congratulations. Formaloo has won first place at the She Loves Tech Baltics and Central Eastern Europe event. It's the world's largest startup competition for women and technology. So what are your first impressions of this event, and did you find anything for Formaloo that you will pay more attention in the future? What was the feedback?
It was very exciting for us. We loved to hear that we won the first place. This was the work of our co-founder, Nu. She is a pioneer in work of organization, in data organization, and she pitched a hell of a pitch there. And it was quite interesting. And there were a lot of great companies there that we can learn from. For example, Microsoft was a partner, and it was very good for us to have a high-level feedback.
Yeah, thank you. For people who don't know about Formaloo, not much, just a short reminder for introduction. What is your uniqueness? What are you doing better than other similar platforms?
So basically, Formaloo is a no-code collaboration platform. We help teams inside organizations to collaborate with their data, from collecting data to organizing data to analyzing data. We help them. One of the biggest problems that we are facing in companies nowadays is that every business is unique, and they need unique tools to operate and be more efficient. And also, they need to collaborate, especially when we are talking about the rise of remote work, the rise of hybrid work, and collaboration is the key. Up until now, there is no quite so good solution for this. A lot of data of every company will be misplaced in a lot of spreadsheets, in a lot of files, and businesses and teams inside businesses don't really use them. We help businesses to create a universal database for their teams. So every data that is produced, collected inside the business can be collected, identified, and be used collaboratively inside teams. So basically, we help them create internal tools very fast. We help them create applications, forms, databases to engage with their audience, engage with their coworkers, so they can not only collect data and manage it, but really analyze it and use it to increase their efficiency.
Okay, that's a lot of different opportunities and possibilities. You mentioned no coding. So yeah, let's jump into this. Low code and no code industry. It's currently seen as a big trend, and we see many players here. And some experts have said that no coding has changed everything in software engineering. But others say it's partially a hype, and it doesn't help much if you aren't using it in the right way. As an insider, what do you think, who is right and who is wrong?
So this is a live debate on how no-code, low-code platforms can be useful, or are they here to replace development? So let's from the starting point. The no-code and low-code platforms that are out there, like Formaloo and others, they are not here to replace development. It's not possible to them to replace development. It's to make it easier. Let me give you an example. Like 20 years ago, when someone wanted to create a website, they had to start from scratch. They had to know how to develop. They had to know coding, a lot of things, the server, configuring web servers, a lot of things to just create a website. And not creating the website was not an issue. And maintaining it, updating it, and customizing it was a totally new issue. And it required a large amount of work. And after that, there were a lot of platforms that came and helped people to create websites, to create applications, and they reduced the time of development, basically. So basically, no-code platforms, low-code platforms are here to reduce the time of development. So a developer or a business user who is not a developer at all can create their own custom solutions very fast. And if they need a lot more development, as a lot of companies do, they should be able to add it. So, for example, in an example of Formaloo, we help business users to create business applications without any coding. So that's very great. If a company doesn't have coders, doesn't have developers, it's great to have this option to have their own unique custom solutions. But when we say this, it's limited to a certain usage. And after that, you need development. And Formaloo helps with that as well, and other no-code platforms, low-code platforms as well. When a developer is here to create this solution and make it more scalable, more powerful, more analytics part, they should be able to do that. And they can do that with Formaloo and reduce the time of development by 80%, 90%. For example, a developer is using Formaloo to do analytics, and they are not very familiar or expert on data analytics, but they can use it. They can use it and cut down the time and the expense that they have to spend on development by 80%. So in a world that everything is going to be digital, and there is, and everything else should be digital and customizable, and every communication, every data aggregation should be digital. We need a lot of softwares, and we don't have that much developers. So we have to have an alternative to reduce the time of development, so every business user can create their own custom solutions. Okay. I missed a question there or no?
I think you answered also my next questions, kind of, but I still want to ask it. So sure. The core value of no-coding industry is to make things simple and enable, let's say, ordinary people or so-called citizen developers to build web shops and web pages. But it seems very easy. But can it happen that it will become so complex and difficult that also no coding solutions will be too difficult for such people?
That is the problem. That is the main problem today, actually, with no-code and low-code platforms, especially with low-code platforms, because every business, again, it's unique. So they have a unique customization and unique needs and unique requirements. And there are a lot of things happening. So the problem today with the platforms that we have right now is that, for example, let's say, let's go to your example, a shop builder, online shop builder like Shopify or WooCommerce, or a website builder or like WordPress. They tend to become very complex over the time because there are a lot of customization. And we see this in no-code platforms and low-code platforms. After a while, you see that this is not a solution for me because it requires a lot of maintenance. It requires a developer touch, a data scientist touch to make it work. And right now, this limitation is the biggest obstacles for businesses that they say we turned to no-code, low-code to not to deal with this, not to deal with maintenance, but we are still stuck to it. And that's because today's no-code and low-code platforms are not complete. They still, they want the best of two worlds. So they want to do everything and they want to be simple. But in order to do everything, you will lose simplicity because you have to have a lot of modification, customization, and you will lose simplicity. the business users want, first of all, the simplicity and later these customizations. So in a balance of today's low-code and no-code platforms, more and more companies tend to give the more customizations. For example, a great example is here, Microsoft Power Apps. It's a very good tool. It's you can do anything, literally anything with it, but it's so complex. So a business user really cannot use it because they have to have a dedicated member, team member, or a team of data experts, developers. Okay, do this with Microsoft Power Apps for us. We don't know how. It still cut costs. It's still cut the time of development from months to a couple of months. It's good, but it's not ideal. We want to do this. We have a long road ahead of us in Formaloo, but we want to do this to be the most simple no-code platform that is out there, because simplicity is the key of the maintenance. It's not the key of the creation, because you can create, but after you create, the maintenance is the issue of businesses. And not only the maintenance, the stability, the security. The stability is that, what if tomorrow this application that I created doesn't work? So this stability and security is very important. And when you make the product simple enough, not simple, easy enough for business users to create, the maintenance can become quite easy as well.
You mentioned security. That's another issue that is mentioned quite often as an issue or a problem. So for some companies, they have very strict rules regarding data. So how Formaloo deals with this question, or what is your answer regarding this?
So it's the main issue for many companies because, for example, when they want to use a tool, especially a software as a service who deal with cloud, they are thinking, oh, I'm sending my data to a black hole. So I don't know what happens to my data. I have no control for it. There is quite a lot of movements on making this better, such as GDPR, such as HIPAA in the US. The security is the main issue. The most important thing to do here with security is to make sure that everyone understands access management. Access managers can be quite difficult because you have your employees, your team members, your audience, and you have third parties. For example, Formaloo or X or Y can be the third parties that have access to your data. So you have to manage all of that. And you have to manage all of them at once, because a single fail point can be critical. So what Formaloo does is that we offer two very complete options for businesses. One is that they can use Formaloo Cloud, which is GDPR compliance and HIPAA compliance as well. And they can be ensured and monitor how the data is stored and who has the access. Second thing is that we offer them a very unique access management. This unique access management comes for collaboration. So you can see who is doing what, when, and where with your data, and you can revoke access, and you can add access anytime you want. So you can see who has access to what, which is very much better than before when we dealt with files. With files, you can, everyone can have a copy of it. So basically they can have everything themselves. So that is quite dangerous. And with access management, they can't. They are collaborating in one place, and nobody has a copy unless a team member and administrator assign them access. But the best of all is that another news is that this is not enough for a lot of companies. They want total control over data. So basically, we offer them Formaloo on-premise. So it's a self-hosted version of Formaloo. So basically, they can have all the benefit of Formaloo in their own servers. They can set it up and run it on their own servers. And we offer them SAML, SSO, and especially database encryption. So they can have encryption in their own servers. And there is no transfer of data. This is actually quite popular with our customers who are banks, insurance companies, anything that have high sensitive data, the PCI data, anything like that, they tend to adopt Formaloo on-premise. And not a lot of software as a service companies do this because it's quite hard to operate, but it's quite beneficial for especially larger businesses that have their own development team, have their own staff of maintaining the data. So we are, it's a unique solution to help them.
Okay, great. I have a few more questions, which are, let's say, popular discussion topics. So one of the biggest benefits of low code and no code industry is considered low costs. Yeah. Can it be that users get the wrong impression that they can get everything with low price or free of charge, or the customer expects more from the cheap package that this package can provide? From your or the perspective, what are your recommendations to such companies who want to implement no-code applications to save costs?
So yes, that's the goal of the no-code platforms like us, is to cut costs, especially human resources costs. If an application, an internal tool that you needed, a dashboard, a portal, anything that you needed for your business to grow costs you thousands of dollars because it will take like 3 months to develop or 6 months to develop, it will cost you thousands of dollars, you are losing a lot of potential. You are not only spending thousands of dollars, you are losing 3 to 6 months as well. So these two costs, which is very higher than an ordinary cost, the no-code platforms like us are, their mission is to cut them down drastically, like 90%, 95%. For example, what can be done without Formaloo in 3 months can be done with Formaloo in 1 hour. So it's a very reduction of costs. But yes, that's the goal. That's the goal of cutting costs for businesses and individuals as well. So you can develop softwares without knowing any code in a very, very lower cost. And that enables developers, especially developers that are very expert, to create much, much powerful softwares in more affordable price. So it's a win-win.
Okay. Another question, but it's, let's say, because I'm from Estonia, I like to ask it. We are probably not the only country where is need for more and more additional IT specialists. It's not like hundreds, but it's thousands. So what do you think? Does no coding platform help to cope with this deficit? Or it's the opposite, as it enables to boost digitalizations, it actually deepens this deficit of specialists?
Yeah, actually, it helped a lot. Like, for example, Estonia is a great example. Estonia needs a lot more developers because there are more and more countries that are more and more companies that are active in IT field, and they need a lot more developers, IT specialists, network administrators than they have today. So there is quite a need of creating this. And educating developers is a good first step, but it takes a long time. And reducing the time needed from development by using no-code platforms is another powerful ally. So you can create a lot of things in less amount of time. So a developer can produce much more results than, for example, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And they can do the job that they were able to do in 3 months, for example, in a couple of hours. And that enables them to be much more efficient. So basically, for countries that are very tech savvy, like Estonia, it's a great thing to be double down on no-code platforms, to use it aggressively so they can be much more tech savvy than others and create an environment for developers to be much more efficient. Because it's not about that we don't have a lot of enough developers in the world. It's about that most of their times is wasted. So a lot of the time of IT specialists, developer, network administrators is wasted on routine jobs. They have to do the same thing exactly again and again and again. And this is, for example, setting a server, setting a system for development, collecting data, anything, setting a database. So this routine works amount for 70%, 80% of a developer's day. So if you automate them, make them, for example, imagine a robot helping you, so you have much more time to do creative things that cannot be automated. And that's the main job of a developer.
Okay. So you entered this market with Formaloo 2 years ago in early 2020. So how do you feel? Have you reached your targets in short term, in the long term?
So right now, around 18,000 teams use us every month. So we are very excited that we have a large user base to use Formaloo and to create a lot of great things. We were not expected Formaloo to turn this way. A lot of individuals, teams created a lot of things that we didn't think of, like games, like quizzes, like a lot of things that like lessons. There are a lot of schools and universities using Formaloo to create very interactive lessons. Why? But they are, and it's quite popular in that way as well. Our goal is to reduce the time for development for business users. So basically, we are working very hard to make Formaloo more simple than it is today. So they can create more powerful applications in less and less amount of time. And that's what we are working right now, to create very sophisticated application with a very easy, like, couple of click things. So you can have a much sophisticated internal tool for your business, for your teams. Another thing that we are very excited about is collaboration, because in software, when you want to make it easy, you tend to reduce a lot of stuff. And that's the way it is. So you minimize what your system do. With collaboration, it's not about reducing this stuff. It's about joining forces with your teams. So if someone in your team doing something and someone else doing something else, if you can connect them correctly, your software become much easier, but the end result is much more powerful. So the main thing that we are doing now is a collaboration, and great tools that are today. For example, we have Notion in creating documents and wikis. We have Formaloo for data. We have Google Docs and spreadsheets for Excel and documents that you can collaborate, really collaborate. And it made life of businesses much easier.
I think now it's the good moment to ask what are your plans for the future, for the next year?
So Our plan for future is, again, about collaboration. So we want to create something that, let me say it like this. Up until now, the people that used Formaloo, they were assigned. For example, an HR team had one person who dealt with Formaloo, created their job applications, employment engagement, anything they wanted, basically. And they created, and everyone else in the HR team used it. So our plan for 2022 is to turn every business user to a developer, basically. So everyone can collaborate on making a software without knowing how to code, without doing any hard lifting, very easy, and make something that is much, much bigger and more efficient. So the main job of Formaloo is that to get teams to be more creative and more efficient. So when your team is creative, your business will grow. And when your team is efficient, you have time to do more things. For example, right now, Formaloo on average saves 19 hours per week per employee. So that's a lot of time. So that can be saved and used to improve the business. So that's our main goal.
This week was also important week for you because you launched a new version. Yeah. And it's for mobile applications also. Yes. So how the launching went, what are your expectations? What are the big news?
We were very, very excited. When we started Formaloo, we were not mobile first. Our customers were businesses. So when your customers are B2B, you tend not to go mobile at the start. And that was the same issue with us. After a while, we developed a mobile version and it was good. But people really liked it. And we saw that a lot of businesses, a lot of team members in businesses no longer work on their computers as a primary device. So basically, they want to manage their business on the go. And especially since the COVID hits, this happened a lot more often because people are dealing with a lot of devices, tablets, mobile phones, and computers at the same time. And they expect to be able to do anything on all of their devices, especially when you're talking about managing data and collaboration. So collaboration was the key again in this. So we changed our courses to be mobile first. So we wanted our mobile to become much, much more powerful. And today we have, I can say with confidence, we have the most sophisticated mobile application in our fields in the world. It recently reached 50,000 installs. We are very excited about that. And people seem to really like it. And they are doing managing the business on the go, and especially local businesses, small and medium businesses like it very much because they can work it on the field, in their shops, in their chains, in the fields that they are doing operations. So, and logistics, for example, drivers, they can do easily to manage data and send data to headquarters. So it was quite an exciting journey for us, and we just released a new version, which is much, much more powerful and very dedicated. People seem to really like it.
Okay, good. The end of this year is quite near, and, but if people would like to learn more about Formaloo and this new version, is something coming that they can join, some event, webinar or podcast or?
Yes, we have a webinar in November 30 on the future of work. Basically, we want to talk about how the future of remote work is happening right now, as we are entering the post-COVID era in the world, and companies are deciding on being fully remote, like us. We are fully remote, distributed all over the world, or being hybrid. People come and go as they please, or being full dedicated on site. So the future of work is an exciting topic. People can tune in for our next webinar. We have a webinar on dealing with no-code and development and future of work every month, so they can tune in. I say to subscribe to our newsletter. We have a semi-popular newsletter in our website, and subscribe, and we will send you all the data you needed for future events. And we have a lot of discussions and tutorials as well, so people can really use it. It's in the documentation mode, so they can read about it and get familiar with Formaloo products or other tools that are similar to Formaloo. We are not the only ones. We are part of an industry that's evolving every day as we go.
Thank you for this information. And I have one more last question. And in one interview, I think it was in the middle of the year, you have mentioned that for this year, your main target is to be or more in North America. So how is going there? How is your success there?
Yes, for 2021, our sole focus was North America, because our user base was much larger there than anywhere else in the world. And we were quite successful there, and we made the day. We are one of the top players. In 2022, we want to expand to new countries. And we don't want to be solely in one place as we are right now. People use it everywhere in the world, but we don't have a strong position in a lot of markets. So we want to have more strong position in a lot of new markets. And we are actually hiring. If you know anyone, and if people that are listening know anyone, we are actually hiring a sales and marketing team for Europe to expand to Europe as well.
Okay. Thank you for the interview. I wish you and your team the best of luck for next year, and the best of luck with version 2.0.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Hope it was useful for you guys.
Yes, thank you.